Hey, it's Thomas Mulready from CoolCleveland.com, and we're here today on the campus of Case Western Reserve University. We're at the Baker Nord Center for the Humanities, and we're visiting today with George Seremba. Thank you so much for taking time to meet with us.
My pleasure.
George, you will be with us for a couple of years,
yes,
on and
indeed.
off, as a visiting professor.
Yeah.
You'll be speaking, you'll be teaching, doing workshops. What are you looking forward to most here in your time in Cleveland? Because you've traveled all over the world.
I am looking forward, first of all, to being here. And I was able to come here before we worked out the appointment. So I did meet a few people who work in the theater here. And that was quite uplifting.
Yes.
So I'm hoping that I'll be able to do a few things with them. Try out, maybe a new play or two.
Wow, great.
And, but I'm also obviously enjoying myself here at Case and looking forward to teaching a few classes.
Sure. You're going to be doing a lot of public programs as well, some workshops.
Yes, for the library mostly, for the Cuyahoga County
Public Library, yeah.
The wonderful people of Cuyahoga County Library who have won so many awards. I wish that there was any way I could add to the trophies and the amazing awards that they have won over the years.
Exactly.
So I feel actually quite privileged to be part of something like that at the same time.
Well, I wonder how you do feel being here, because you've gone through so much in your life. When you look back at what you've gone through, coming out of Uganda at a time when there was tremendous strife. Talk about your life and how it changed there in December of 1980, when you were basically kidnapped by the government and taken out for assassination. Isn't that right?
I was indeed. It was a very tricky time. It was a time when you're either with us or against us, according to the government, and I happened to be against them, or certainly wasn't with them. And so through, one has to sort of understand that Uganda had gone through the nightmare of Idi Amin. And so that was a bit like a resurrection for a lot of people. And then when the clouds started to gather that would usher in a new reign of dictatorship, a lot of us felt that it was time to sort of speak out and cry out against what we perceived to be the evils of the day. And in the process, I became a marked man. And yes, indeed, I was forced to escape from the country for a few months to sort of lie low across the border in Kenya, in Nairobi specifically.
So you were in exile, really, and you came back just before the election. What made you come back at that very dangerous time?
I came back because perhaps, in a way, obviously now it looks slightly naive, but I was under the impression that during that sort of chaotic transition, that it would be an easier way to get in and out. But unfortunately, I wasn't fast enough for them. And so I was, on the night of the 10th of December, which was the day of the election, I was abducted, interrogated, tortured by members of what was called the GE branch, which was the military intelligence branch that worked under the chief of staff of the army at the time. And they then, it's in his office ultimately that I was then sentenced to death. And then that very night we drove to a forest just outside Kampala, and there then I was shot up and left for dead with 7 bullet wounds, including a rocket-propelled grenade had been fired on top of the bullets from the AK-47s.
Wow.
And so I was that night sort of wavering in that kind of liminal space between here and there, really, the here and now as well as the hereafter, in a life sort of death situation. And what I've decided, in fact, partly because I thought that I would read something from the play.
Yes.
I'm sure you have the details of the reading that I'm going to be giving here
That's
at
right.
pace.
You've got a reading coming up on Thursday, the 14th, 5 p.m. right here at Clark Hall.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you did end up writing a play, Come Good Rain, out of
Yes,
this
indeed.
experience, isn't that right?
And it's called Come Good Rain, in part because it rained heavily that night.
Yeah.
And that rain clotted the blood.
Wow.
And so I didn't lose as much blood as I otherwise would have. And it's so it is kind of a tribute to the rain of Africa, I guess, that ensured that I kept my life and that eventually I will be able to share it with lots of other people. I never actually wrote the play until about 9 years after.
What made you write the play? Because you at first didn't feel that it was necessary or that it would maybe be even harmful to the people of Uganda. But then what? They sort of commissioned you. You called it. They pleaded with you, right?
Yes, because when I went back with my mom, and we went to thank these folks who live near the forest, the people who actually came to my rescue, and they said to me, my mom said, look, they've kept tabs on you over the years because they see you as their adopted son.
Wow.
And so they said to me, one of the representatives, I guess, the person who'd been chosen to speak, said, look, we understand that you're an actor and a playwright. How come you've never told your story?
Yeah.
That they saw it as a play was interesting for me. And also that they could actually feel the feasibility of that working in front of strangers miles away from where it happened.
Yes.
Gave me a lot of strength.
Right.
And yes, I was commissioned, I felt that night, yeah.
So what did you write it immediately? Did it come out very quickly? I mean, this had been building up in you for years, obviously.
I started writing it as soon as I got back to Toronto.
Yeah.
I was living in Toronto at the time. And then a month later, I had an initial draft that was followed by about 3 subsequent drafts before it sort of saw the light of the stage.
Would you like to read a little from it
Yes,
for us today? That would be wonderful.
I'll set this up for your listeners.
Yes.
It's in the second half of the play, and it's exactly somewhere right after the shooting itself. Mm-hmm. So we're going through the agonizing moment of, will he live? Wow. Won't he live? That sort of thing. Be still, George, still as a stone. What are they up to? Oh God, let it not be that they're planning to cut the head off the corpse to show their boss, or simply dump my body in the lake or the Nile, the poet's corner of Idi Amin's Uganda. After the longest 5 minutes of what remained of my life, they turned and drove towards Kampala. God, save my 2 friends and grant me enough strength to come out of the mash so that my mother can see the body. It's so dark. The abduction was around 9. The latest it can be is 11:30. By dawn, I'll finally leave the world. I turned towards the east. A few meters in that direction was a foundation stone for a monument that was never built, to the memory of all that had died in Idi Amin's Uganda. I stumbled eastwards, got to the road, turned towards the highway. Zigzag on the edge of the tarmac, George. Avoid leaving a blood trail. That's the spot where the shooting was. The sky's getting even darker. Around me, a misty grey color. The pain throbs like unrelenting, high-pitched drums. Tears are welling in my eyes. The earth feels like a rag slowly pulled away under my elephantine feet. Still, I walked, supporting myself by leaning against a tree or holding onto a branch. My entire family, relatives, friends, places too, were rolling over the screen of my mind. All their faces looked shocked. Lord, let this government not last. At least let them not kill too many people. The images kept on rolling my entire life. Its landmarks, primary school, the best years, short, intense. God, if there is a way of coming back to this earth, make me a little bird, a spirit of the woods and custodian of Namamve forest. I'll always come back to my nest at sunset and sometimes disrupt the foul murders, enable the victims to escape. You, my ancestors, all of you, from Kabaka Kalema, whose remains lie in Mende, Kakungulu and Mugujila, the two valiant warriors. My grandparents back in Masaka, my grandmother Blalia Nakiwala, you who always danced agile as a drinker without touching a drink in your entire life. Yekonia Zirabamzale, you who lost your sight and never your wisdom and legendary charity. My stillborn brothers, you who never left the void, please pave my way and ease my transition. I see distant flares cut through the dark hide of night. A few drizzles are dropping on my body. It's raining. This is a good resting place. The Ministry of Works labor camp is close. Someone will see the body and Radio Katwe, the grapevine telegraph, will do the rest. I also have an uncle not too far from here. If he's home, he will save the body and deliver the news. The right arm is already swollen by more than half its size. The trees and the undergrowth swirl at an incredible pace. Their shapes begin to change, taking on the threatening ones of the gnomic creatures and spirits that inhabit my folklore. I have made my peace and put my borrowed time to good use. I'm a bird flapping my wings and gazing at the husk that was my body. Maybe I'll be like Christopher Okibo, the Nigerian poet. They say he was sent back to earth after his death, condemned to sing his lines eternally at a village well. To this day, when the little children are sent to the well, they sometimes hear a pair of little birds singing, "Now let us sing, tongue-tied, without name or audience, and make harmony among the branches." I do not recall anything else.
Mr. Seremba, thank you so much. And of course, it was that rain that saved your life.
Absolutely.
And then the villagers who found you.
Yes, indeed, to whom I'll always be indebted.
And your life has been dedicated since that time to theater, to art.
Theater, to, bearing witness.
Yes.
Especially for those of my countrymen and countrywomen who never lived to see the light of a new day.
Right.
And people from all over who, because oppression doesn't know any borders, you look at the wind of change that's blowing through North Africa at the moment.
Yes.
And you wish that, maybe a little more wind would also blow into Ivory Coast.
Yes.
And maybe Kenya and Zimbabwe, Uganda, that sort of thing.
And you wonder if more people spoke out, if more people had the courage to speak out as you've spoken out on both sides of these conflicts, on all sides of these issues.
Yeah.
If we might be able to work out some of these problems that we have. I think that's the message that you're talking about, is speak out, talk, express.
Absolutely.
Well, it's a very profound message, and we really welcome you here to Cleveland.
Thank you
we look
very
forward
much.
to your time here over the next coming couple of years, really, here in Cleveland, and especially here in a couple of days right here at the Baker Nord Center. Thank you so much, Mr. Seremba, for taking time.
My pleasure. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hey, it's Thomas Mulready from coolcleveland.com. Have a great week in cool Cleveland.